I want to say what's more concerning than the man's behaviour was the failure of the Metropolitan Police and their conduct. I was grossly let down by them. They've reopened the investigation now, thanks to all of the support and the attention it's been receiving online.
This attack of the waitress in Nando's has shocked the nation, specifically because there were police in the restaurant at the time, yet they did nothing about it. Watch. Really horrifying stuff. Well, the woman in that video has now spoken out for the first time about what actually happened, and her experiences are really chilling. Watch this.
So for those of you that don't know, I was the girl that got assaulted in the viral video going around that happened in Nando's. Before I get into what actually happened, I'd like to thank everyone for all the kind messages and the support I've been receiving. And I'd also like to clarify why I'm making a video. This is probably going to be the first and last video I make on this. I'm someone who values my privacy. I don't think the situation would have garnered as much attention as it has, but the support's been overwhelming. So with all the attention that the video's gotten and seeing everything in the news about violence against women, violence against young women, violence against girls, I think it's important to speak up about what actually took place. Lastly, before explaining, I want to say what's more concerning than the man's behaviour was the failure of the Metropolitan Police and their conduct. I was grossly let down by them. They've reopened the investigation now, thanks to all of the support and the attention it's been receiving online, and for that I'm grateful. However, I was really disappointed and let down with what happened at the time with the police.
And she went on to say it was only after the footage went viral that the police actually decided to do something about it.
They also told me nothing could be done about the situation and that the case has to be closed. Since all of the attention it's gotten online, the police have now issued an apology to me and they've opened up an investigation again. The man still hasn't been found as of yet, but they're looking for him. I'd just like to say it was just a part-time job for me. I'm a uni student and this was just supposed to be me being able to be financially independent. And it's just a shame that safety in a workplace, especially for young women, isn't something that's promised. And that police being present also doesn't promise you safety. I again want to thank everyone for all the kind messages I've been receiving. The support has been overwhelming and it means a lot to me and I appreciate everything and I'm glad the case has been reopened again.
So Leilani, two-tier policing in action yet again. There is the evidence.
I mean, that video was absolutely shocking. And the fact that the police, maybe they didn't get that video, but they should have done as soon as she made the report. But this is the thing, the irony is they saw it because all they seem to do is, browse social media for things that are an issue. So, this was seen by millions and millions of people who were completely outraged around the same time as you got Yvette Cooper talking about misogyny. But at that time, this happened in March. March it happened. Don't tell me that they couldn't go and check who the guy was. Did he pay with a credit card? At least find that out, for goodness sake. So, I mean, it's unbelievable and it's sickening. And like you said, it's two-tier policing. It's pretty obvious why they just thought, oh yeah, let's just brush this off. I mean, she got hit round the face by a plate. I mean, what else? It's physical violence. You've got two-tier here talking about online violence. Well, this is actual physical violence where the man's plate made contact with this woman. You've got Yvette Cooper talking about misogyny. And it's like, oh, well, never mind, let's just ignore it until something gets online and goes viral. And the public have to cause the outrage and say how disgusted they are before the police actually take this lady seriously. I mean, that's what's crazy to me. And the speed that they can find you if you've written a Facebook post or if you happen to go down to a protest and just be a bystander and watch or chant, they'll be at your door in a week. This has been out there for a while now. So why hasn't this guy been found?
June, this was horrifying, wasn't it?
Well, it's so bad He could have broken a jaw. I mean, anybody who's watched The Bourne Supremacy could see someone who knows how to fight, can use a barrow or a rolled up newspaper. This is a play. And, you know, you've seen people on fairgrounds selling pottery. They can bang a plate down and it will not break. And depending on how he cracks her in the face with it, this could have been a lot worse. And when she says the police were there, this is just, what else can he call it but two-tier policing? There it is. There's video evidence. The man, as you said, there'll be some record of him making a booking, a phone number, whatever. They couldn't have more evidence to go and pay him a visit. And yet it's taken the pressure of social media. This is exactly why they want to shut X down, because X is the only real platform that's instantaneous, very fast, and allowed to share the truth. And this is why they want rid of it, because it shows all the flaws in the system right out there.
Because
and it is flawed. The police, I am sure that most police officers do not want to be viewed in the light they are currently viewed. I know police, but they're older. They're sort of like 50 odd. They're coming up to retirement. And they say to me, I can't wait to get out. And one of them, he always wanted to be a policeman. Even when he was a little boy, he wanted to be a policeman. And he cannot wait to leave. How many feel like that? They dread going on a shift because they'll be sent out to a protest. They don't really want to be in a position where they're going to have to be told, go easy with them, but sort them out if it's the others. That's not policing.
No, it's not. It really isn't. First, though, what's so important about being independent is that I only tell you about products that I use. And one of them, every day, is Verso. I started it as I entered my 40s and realized that I wanted to stay healthy. And after being pretty stressed over a year, I wanted to be fit, I wanted to be sharp, I wanted to sleep really well, and I was looking for something that would enhance what I was already doing. And that's what's so brilliant about Verso, because scientists like David Sinclair have actually proven that we can now help to reverse aging with interventions that go beyond healthy habits. So I was looking for that sort of product, but also one that was backed up by really solid scientific evidence. That is certainly the case with Cellbean by Verso. It is scientifically proven to contain ingredients that fight effects of aging because they increase the NAD+ levels, which is the stuff that powers every cell in your body. I've been taking the product for a number of months now, right at the start of my day, and it has been genuinely transformative. Fasting is easier, but the team at Verso tell me that it is due to its blood sugar regulating effects, which lead to fewer cravings. I'm sleeping better, waking up with more energy, and feeling so much happier too. It's taken years off me, and I would love you to experience the same thing. So if you head right now to buy.ver.so/outspoken, you will save 15% on your first order. All you need to do is use the coupon code outspoken. The link is in my YouTube description. But the problem is, the big problem is that all around the West, you know what's going on with the authorities and the governments. They are not looking, June, to deal with the cause. They are looking to try and nullify the symptoms. And we have seen that yet again with this absolutely Orwellian arrest of Pavel Durov. Now, he is the chief executive of the social media, the messaging app, I guess it is, Telegram. He was arrested in France this weekend. Really, really terrifying stuff. Now, he actually gave an interview quite recently to Tucker Carlson talking about how even the FBI in America have been looking into him. Remember, this guy, he's not a criminal himself. Yes, he's Russian born, but he lives in Dubai and he has French citizenship. And effectively, he wants to run a platform so that folk like you and me can have conversations that aren't listened into by the government. Yes, there are some bad actors on those platforms, but he has been arrested in France. This is what he had to say to Tucker Carlson.
I personally experienced similar pressure in the US. Whenever I would go to the US, I would have two FBI agents greeting me at the airport, asking questions. One time I was having my breakfast at like 9 a.m. and the FBI showed up at my house that I was renting, and that was quite surprising. And I thought, we're getting too much attention here. It's probably not the best environment to run.
Why would had you committed a crime?
No, they were interested to learn more about Telegram. They knew I, left Russia. They knew what we were doing, but they wanted details. And my understanding is that they wanted to establish a relationship to, in a way, control Telegram better. I understand that they were doing their job. It's just that for us running a privacy-focused social media platform, that probably wasn't the best environment to be in. We want to be focused on what we do, not on government relations of that sort.
Now, breaking right now, because he is facing huge international criticism, Emmanuel Macron has denied that the French government were involved in this arrest. He has described that as false information, and then laughably claims, and I couldn't believe this, that France is deeply committed to freedom of expression and communication, which we know is a lie, Leilani. We completely know that's a lie. Why have you just arrested this bloke then, Macron?
This is what's crazy. You can see everywhere in the West, there is a massive, massive crackdown on free speech, and they're trying to hold him accountable for the bad actors on his platform. Well, what about, the pedos on Instagram and Facebook that try and groom children there? Why haven't you arrested Zuckerberg then? If that's the case, if you're trying to hold everybody accountable for, the people on their platform, then there's so many others they can go after. So that clearly has everything to do with controlling speech. And it's ironic, isn't it? He's left Russia, and Russia's supposed to be the bad one, and they're supposed to be the one controlling free speech. And now then he gets arrested, in France, in Europe. And this is the problem. They're trying to crack down on everything, everywhere, like the same way that people have been arrested for their Facebook posts and held on bail.
Well, indeed. End Wokeness, Leilani, actually put together a brilliant, I guess you'd say, a digest of everything, all of these outrages around the world. So in the UK, mass arrests of citizens for memes. In France, the arrest of the founder of Telegram. In Ireland, they're trying to ban memes. Brazil forces X to flee the country. Australia tries to censor e-posts. EU tries to blackmail Elon Musk. In America, the Department of Justice jails someone for a meme. And then you've got Maduro blocking access to X as well. So it's all going on. And what I found quite fascinating is Boris Johnson, who some people would say wasn't exactly the best when it came to freedom of speech during the COVID pandemic. But if you put that to one side, he has said that for the first time in his life, under Slippery Starmer and the Labour administration, he is concerned about free speech being trampled on in the UK. Watch.
In Keir Starmer's Britain, I'm worried for the first time in my life about freedom of speech. I mean, the freedom of everybody to say what they innocently think, even if it turns out not to be true, and the freedom of people to use ordinary English words about subjects like illegal immigration when they know that they're telling the truth. In Keir...
And June, I am worried for the first time as well. I think Boris is right on this.
Well, me too. The thing is, they'll never touch Facebook. The Facebook is in bed with the security agencies in America. They'll never touch Facebook because they won't interfere with Facebook's business model. But places like Rumble and Telegram, they'll have a stab at them. They'll struggle with Musk because quite a lot of big names use Twitter, and I've used Twitter whilst it was okay, and he released the Twitter files. He'll do it again. He's still got more dirt on these people. But I've noticed they never, ever do anything to Zuckerberg. And he owns WhatsApp. So WhatsApp isn't private. But what you've got to remember is WhatsApp is used massively in South America. And there's an awful lot of drug traffic, human trafficking goes on via WhatsApp. Which you can understand the need for that kind of thing. So people don't need to worry about, I'm in a WhatsApp group and I've been discussing immigration. They're not coming for you. They're coming for the big guys where the money is. Yeah. But the trouble is, when you've got someone running your country like Keir Starmer, who is a committed communist, in my view, if you read about him, listen to what Peter Hitchens says about him, this guy is committed to changing the way we run our country and becoming more like a communist country.
Yes.
it's not what we voted for. It's not what his vote. The only good thing
and he hit it, and I always said he hit it. You know, because people like Owen Jones were saying, "Oh, Keir Starmer's far too moderate. He's far too centrist." It gave him cover. I always said, this guy's a communist. He's on the hard left. Be very afraid of him. I completely agree with Peter Hitchens. Where I disagree with Peter Hitchens is Peter Hitchens said, "Oh, well, that's why you should vote for the Conservative Party." I'm sorry, no, because we do need genuine reform of the country. But I like the way Suzanne Evans clarified what had gone on, actually. I think she made a really good analogy. She said, "This is seriously worrying. I keep going on about how medieval authorities in the West are now, and this is another example, like throwing the inventor of the printing press in jail because you don't like the book." And again, June, it's dealing with the symptom and not the cause, isn't it?
Exactly. And the thing is that it's also a deflection, because what they're doing now is they're trying to legitimize their incompetence, and they're trying to legitimize the fact that they're trying to attract people. Look at this, look at this. Then you don't really notice just how absolutely abysmal we are as people and how appallingly we can run a country. They're not fit. They do not have the skill factor. Miliband, Starmer, they do not have the skill factor. I would back Ben Habib all day long before any of these comedians.
Oh, big time. And now, June, they're saying, "Oh, we need 10 years because things are going to get way worse before they get better." I mean, they are jokers. And I think they will be out, actually, after 5 years. But June, you also pointed out to me, and I watched him actually this weekend, Mike Benz, who is the executive director of FFO Freedom, but he is a former State Department cyber, the author of the unpublishable monstrosity, Weapons of Mass Deletion. So this is a very smart guy. And we're going to play you 2 little snippets of information which sums up perfectly why the censorship state is such a worry and why we're seeing all of this go on now. Watch.
What's happening right now all around the world with international censorship, it's coming from the U.S. State Department, and it's coming from USAID, and it's coming from our intelligence services, and it's coordinated with the Pentagon, and it is the foreign-facing U.S. blob with its transatlantic partners in Europe, primarily in NATO, that are doing this. And I have been screaming from the rooftops since 2017 about everything that we are seeing today. And folks who've been along with me for the journey, you know this. I mean, the whole Ben Stradamus thing is not because I'm some smart person. I'm decent. But it's just because I'm right. The theory I'm presenting to you, the thesis for understanding the world around you when it comes to internet censorship, it's just that. It's a prescriptive model. You can predict it.
And Mike Benz, the founder of Freedom Online, the foundation for that, then went on, this is really interesting, to talk about how what's going on also is linked to the UK and specifically Brexit. It's really fascinating. Watch.
What's happening in the EU right now? I showed this to you guys on my X account. All these roundups of everyone for hate speech, for backing the UK riots. The UK Metropolitan Police, the head of the UK Metropolitan Police, coming out and saying that they were going to potentially arrest Elon Musk for hate speech or riling up these crowds, and then, putting him on trial in London. In 2018, I wrote about how the UK Metropolitan Police's hate speech detection comes from an entity called Hate Lab, that's how the UK Metropolitan Police scans every single instance of hate speech, religious hate speech, racial hate speech, gender identity hate speech. Guess who funded Hate Lab? The U.S. State Department. You know why? Oh, they're calling me. Okay. You know why? It's because the State Department wanted to stop Brexit. Yeah, I'm right here. Okay, all right.
So much drama. He had to go and get his flight. But June, wow, bombshell after bombshell, truth bombs being dropped there.
Well, I came across him during Brexit, but I didn't know who he was. And I remember finding him and thinking, oh my God, he makes so much sense. And then because I didn't use Twitter back then, I didn't really keep up with him. But I mean, now with what's going on, I think he's just on the money. You know, you see all these conspiracy theories about who controls it, and obviously we know there's some big players like Soros and different people. But I think it just sums it up so well, because there's got to be a reason, and the reason is usually to affect incoming governments. They're nudging us all the way. It's like somebody pushing a big machine, and really most of the people aren't noticing the push. And somebody like you, me, Leilani, other people, they're noticing the push. So we're pushing back. We say, whoa, no, we don't want, whoa, slow it down. And the more people that get involved with that and understand, the great thing about Keir Starmer, the real plus point to this moron being in charge, he's losing his own supporters. Yes. They are contacting me on a daily basis. They've rung LBC up. They spoke to Carol Vorderman. All the people that have stood behind him and said, Keir Starmer's going to be great for Labour, are making complete fools of themselves, because his core support, he's got, 9 million votes. At least 4 or 5 of them will be from London and Lovies, and there's Champagne Socialists. He's going to hit you, love. He's going to hit you as well, because he wants your tax. He wants your money. If you've got any money, he's going to want to take it off you, and he's going to come up with ideas to do that. So no one is safe. And sadly, I am amazed he's hitting the most vulnerable first. There's more to come with the pensioners. What a fool. What a fool of a man. And this, he cannot keep support. So the longer he's in making these decisions, the more unrest towards Labour there is. They cannot last a second term. Left-wing publications might be making stuff up about how popular he is. He's not popular, because what you've got to remember, most people do not do what we do. So if you think of the bell curve, they live in the bell. We're on the outside of the bell, to the left, to the right. Most people live in the middle. It's the middle people I look at. It's the middle people I talk to. It's the normal people. It's the bricklayers. It's the plumbers. Mm-hmm. It's the heating engineers. It's the taxi drivers. It's the bus drivers. It's the train drivers. They don't want him. They don't want him. And he is tanking support. But it had to get this bad. You can't make things better till somebody bangs a big spoon and says, hang on, this is how bad it's going to be. Whilst they're all semi-comfortable, but they're all sitting back now, realising they're not having that second holiday to Benidorm. They can't afford to paint the house. They won't change the car. That is all going to lose him support. And let's face it, I'm not blaming Keir Starmer for the mess the country's in. The Labour Party didn't do that, but they didn't stop it either, did they?
Well, no, and they wanted it to be worse in lots of ways. And I think, Leilani, the idea that we are going to give this guy 5 years before there's any improvements. Hell no, you don't deserve 5 years. And that's why I think, Leilani, he is so desperate to become the censor-in-chief, to become the authoritarian-in-chief, to become the jailer-in-chief, because he wants to scare us all. Whether it's you, whether it's June, whether it's me, or whether it's a lovely bricklayer, he wants to scare us all from publicly either criticising him or protesting him.
I think there's so much buyer's remorse out there, the amount of people I've spoken to. And then you can see how much he's lied. He's completely lied. There's all these posts about how he wouldn't, if he got in, Labour would never raise the price cap on the electricity. But not only has he raised the price cap on, the price cap's going to go up, he's also cut the money for the pensioners. So they're absolutely hating him at the moment. And this is the thing. The only thing he can do now is try and control us and control our speech, start making all these things about hate and it being subjective. I've seen somebody, not only was it about hate, it was about anti-government or anti-establishment rhetoric. You could get jailed for that as well. So they're going to expand what we can get in trouble for and really, really crack down on our speech, so that not only can we not talk about subjects like illegals coming in that we're not happy about, or the way the government's spending their money on these people. Now we're not going to be able to talk about anything that we don't like the government doing. That's going to be the anti-government rhetoric that he's talking about prosecuting people for. And he's making a hard stand now to scare everybody, to say, look, you're not going to be able to take to the street and protest me. But it's not going to work, because there's going to be a couple more incidents and a couple more of his big U-turns on promises, and people are going to be very, very unhappy. Now, I'm not going to say anything because I'm not going to incite anything, but I'm just making a prediction. I'm not saying do it. I'm just making a prediction that there's going to be some very, very unhappy people when his lies start
But how
to
terrible
start
that you
to
even
show.
have to make that clarification, though. But we
Right.
know, because we have seen folk literally arrested for saying, if this is true, this might happen. That's political speech. It's not inciting violence. And that is the madness of the world that we're living in. Look, though.
And that's the thing, Dan, we have to keep on adding caveats. I have to, every time I talk about the protest, I have to say, listen, I'm not with you doing, looting. I'm not with you setting places on fire. I have to give that caveat.
Yeah.
Look, I'm all for peaceful protest.
But the irony is that the three of us, we've actually been consistent on this, because we were speaking up against the eco-terrorists, against the pro-Hamas demonstrators, against the Black Lives Matter rioters. I have been completely consistent when it comes to violence and destruction on the streets. But the irony is that it's the left and the mainstream media who have this complete double standard, and that's what infuriates me. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please do subscribe if you want lots more clips and interviews like that. Plus, if you want to watch our totally uncensored after show, then visit www.outspoken.live.